Hey, Dimitri. All right. So, and here, hey, everybody out there as well that's paying attention, following along. So, we're taking a look at Interstellar Sentinel 2, Level 3, and we're starting to get to the first pass of what the NEONIX construction factory looks like, and we're kind of working on transitions and the layers. So Dimitri took a look at both of these. Love this, by the way. I love that we're starting to show the segmentation for her. We've got a bit of the crown bits. You know, it feels like it belongs to the factory entrance. So good stuff. I don't think I have any real requests to change there. Like that we have the wall here as well. And then now, the way you're thinking about this and the way I'm thinking about this, I'm going to leave this to you because there's a lot of fiddling around. So with that, now that we've got this kind of locked into what we're looking at, let me just walk you through it. Okay, so first, a couple things. So one is here with this deck. This deck, it is minus 50 in the Y from the camera. Let me see here. Is that, let's see. Yeah. So, you can see here, minus 200. Yeah. So you can see how it pushes out further away from the camera. So that gives us a little bit more of that parallax, but it also allows for, as we cruise through the scene, it allows for us here. Let's just take a quick look and let this thing run, and I can point these things out. So these are still temporary for the signs. I just put them there because I want to see how this looks like. Although there might be a nice place for it. But enemy designs and much other things are a whole other thing. So, as you can see here, we've got kind of our. It looks like the art changed again on the enemies, so the effects no longer line up, but that's okay. This is what it is. The extended deck is working, so I like this. We'll have enemies down here, which is great. So here is where, as you can see, I'll let this run. So if the intention for us is to have all of this feel like it's a seamless transition, we could put a little Y parallax. If you want the player, I don't think if you want, I mean, we have this cap. I think we'll fly in front of it as opposed to behind it because it's a lot of space, but I digress. So I think the main thing here is you'll notice that these areas, they kind of crawl in now because these are the most foreground bits. And the reason for that is because these planes, so I did it two ways. I've been here tinkering this now for about a half hour. So if you want them to be at the same parallax distance from the camera, closer is closer to the camera, moves faster. Further away is further from the camera, and it moves slower. So, but that's why I was pointing out this minus 50. So we would have to take these and put them in minus 50. I tried a version where I had minus 50 here, so it locks to the deck, or it locks to the same parallax that the deck is at. And then I added a little less distance for the cover. But that also means then we have to counter scale the assets to get them to fit. And a little of the scaling's not the end of the world here. It's better than just burning a bunch of resolution. I'm telling this to you so then you can work on the level construction and how you want this to look, right? So currently, as you can see here, this is the way it works. So I left it in this way. I'm showing you kind of we can do it the other way. But also, when you put these planes in, we didn't add the right parallax labeling for them. So distance, because these are environmental elements. So I don't know if you like in the concept, right? Here, I'll just let this run a little bit here. And then we'll figure out how the city transitions and all that good stuff too. So, and I know this is a little bit lower than we were expecting, but this is us playing around with it and kind of getting to that point, right? So, I guess the point to you is, if you want to achieve this where it feels connected, first of all, I don't know if you saw it, we'll need to change that extra deck art. then what we need to do is this. So, and I was doing this, and then I'm gonna show you the reason why it's a little bit fiddly. So at least this back plane goes to minus 50. So now it matches, and that's cool. And real quick, just so you can see it, let's do this. And the other side of this. So if you want to align it, so now you can align it more effectively, I guess, to the edge here. What you got to see here, we need to change the art. So unless you want to have a different end cap and you want to push that thing further, but I think the intention was the bottom of the in my mind, it was the bottom that it comes down. That we come on, give me my things, give me my tools, give me my tools. That we come down, camera goes this way. And then we come through, and as you can tell here, right, at minus 50, we have gaps. So then what we wind up needing to do is we need a counter scale. And that's not the end of the world. All that is, I think 125 kind of fit, or 120 fit pretty well. But of course, that changes where it's at in the world, but it's getting closer, right? We'll move this back over, do one of these. All right. And it's not exactly exact. So, but you can see now that we're getting the art in what that looks like, right? So, and you can also fiddle with this. So the other thing here is where you see the yellow line for what the camera sees, you will notice that what the camera thinks it sees, and because the camera is in 2D, it's not going to show you the offset from the distance. So then you get new gaps. So we have to kind of like fiddle around a little bit to find what works for us. Again, I'd love to turn this into like pixels equal X distance, so then we don't have to fudge as much. Feel free from the tech art perspective to mess around with that. So, but usually what I wind up doing is I come down here and, move it around a little bit. It's still not quite there, but it's super close. The other side of this too is I do like having grid snap on and or snap to 3D objects. So, and grid snap, but because we have odd non-power of 2 pixels, it makes it a little difficult to get that kind of exact alignment. So this is pretty close. But I bet you we're probably giving up a few pixels. And then this is what I do. And I sit here and I fiddle and then I fart around and it's great. And I want you to fiddle fart around with me. So yeah, that's not too bad. So, okay. And then the other thing I thought, so at least we're here. I'll let this run through. I do like, because the other wall, the cover wall, to cover the transition, you can get a sense for what that looks like, of course. And of course, this is all changing the manual parallaxing through the world. So then you can already see how this starts to fall apart given the next city section, right? And the city sections, of course, the manual parallax layers, which we've set up, right, with the naming of the parallax layers. And, we can do other things. We can put a dark background. We can, can you have just the city and bring in some of the bridge structures a little bit later, so they don't parallax quite the same way. All of that is doable, but it's all just part of the process, right? So, whoops, try that. Go. And I think this is, and of course, I adjusted the city a little bit because we're trying to align now to the exit, right? So, oops. And I saw that in the concept, right? We have the bridges, right? And you kind of want the bridges to extend down here. So, but we only have so much pixels for the art itself. So then, like again, we're going to fiddle fart around a little bit. And while I'm compelled to do this, I think I just want to point these things out to you. because I want you to also work on the adjustments and to think about that. So because when we name things like this, where they sit in the scene, everything is layers, right? And here we have 6 background layers. So we need to think about how each of the images layer. Within a layer, we can set the rendering order, but there's no guarantee that there won't be, if there's changes in the engine, that there won't be any kind of Z fighting that happens where they render a little bit over each other. Sometimes the engine gets confused with that. And the last thing here is, I think let me pull this back over, something like this. And then the other big piece is kind of getting a sense for, what this looks like as we come down off the camera. Get that little hook. It's a little soft in that, which is super cool. I think having it anchored at the same layer in the counter scale is what I wanted to show you, right? I think if we want, we can keep. Now the problem is if we have parallax, you can already see the problem here, right? Which is then that front wall is going to cover it. So, and I mean the other side of this too, just so we're on the same page, we can't put this layer in front of DBK. It's too slow. We're not a Euro shmup, so we're not just like taking in the sights. God, she's gorgeous. I love it. So I think the call here is keep this as the ground plane, because we're gonna have enemies that need to come in here. We're never gonna, we're not gonna be taking 8, 9, 10 seconds to give people time to just watch stuff. So. And we can't be fighting behind large surfaces like this because then it's a little scary gameplay wise. So, and I think the other thing I did here was I did it at 115, and I think I did it at minus 25 to try to get us a little bit more in the where we don't feel like it's like that foreground plane is. Moving too fast. Now we also can keep it on the 50. I'm totally fine with that too. It doesn't need to move. I think it's kind of neat when we have a little bit of parallax. It makes the world feel just a tiny bit more alive. But we're making this stuff up as we go. And yeah, so I thought I would give you kind of where so I'll check the stuff in now for you, and then we can I'll let you align those things. Think about. The look that we want there, of course. But the other side, the last piece of this coming back to this, right, is that we have the city parallax. And I don't know if the city parallax is going to, it feels good when we're cruising through the city, but I don't think it's going to align very well with the exit of the NEONIX factory. So, and so then that just means we need to think about, again, her and this, what this looks like. Or a little bit. Or if the intention is push all this stuff further back and have the city sooner, the manual parallax city, not the skybox city. Although, this isn't all that bad either. To kind of align. So because now it's kind of this weird thing with perspective, right? So all right, that is plenty. I'll get this video up for you. I'll check this stuff in. Great work. I really love where we're at. And yeah, to everyone else out there, if you're following along, feel free to leave comments, thoughts, suggestions. This is all work in progress, and it's always warmly received. We read all of our comments, so thank you very much to our fans. And yeah, thanks for being on the journey with us, everybody. Talk to you next time.